These are cleansing wipes, and I'm just going to go ahead and start there. And it's also awesome to spray the skin with Fix Plus before we start. This helps add hydration. So next I always start off with brows. I find that starting off with brows gives me a nice form of definition before we start the eyes. And I'm using Select Cover Up Concealer and NW20. Draw around it. I'm setting the brow with MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Powder in medium dark. So one of my favorite products is Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Pro Palette. As you can see, it has many shades. Right now that her hair is a little bit on the lighter side, I'm going to use Taupe. So down here, there's a brow primer that I'm going to go ahead and dip my brush in there first. And then go ahead and blend Taupe together. You start right in the center of the brow. I'm just drawing. All I'm doing, she has a full brow, so I'm just going to fill it in any gaps. Alright, now that both brows have been filled with Taupe eyeshadow from Anastasia Beverly Hills, I'm going to go ahead and define her brow with the Dip Brow in Chocolate. This adds more definition on the ends of the brow. It's not really necessary for the front of the brow, it's already full. And I'm using that same angle 266 brush. Is doing her eyes. I always start any eyeshadow with an eyeshadow base, and I'm using Painterly Paint Pot. This is another MAC product, and I'm using a 217 blending brush to apply the product on her lid. Some people use their fingertips. I like to use the brush because it makes a more buffed out effect. The more product you add, the more pigmentation you'll get on your shadow. Alright, so now we're going to go into her crease color. I have this nice little palette that I made for myself. And I like using matte shadows right in the crease. I'm using Hawks eyeshadow from MAC. It's a nice, I want to say mauvey purple. And we're using my favorite blending brush. This is a 224 from MAC. I usually have my client tilt their head back. And we're starting on the outer crease. With my fingertip, I push the brow a little up. This just helps me define her crease. Palette that I made myself. So this shade is Vibrant Grape. And I'm just going to grab just a tad bit using the same brush, the 224 brush. And we're going to bring this right in the crease. One of my favorite shadows from MAC. It's called Fig 1. Although with this one, we're just going to keep on the outer corner. Is we're going to add a color right on her lid there. Just to kind of bring it out, I'm adding a little bit more base, and I'm using a 242 brush from MAC. It's a flat brush. You can use any flat brush. And we're just going to add just a little bit more base on the lid. This helps pick up the color that I'm going to add on the lid. Alright, so now I'm going to go to one of my favorite shades. It's called Beautiful Iris from MAC. It's a nice light lavender. It has a frost. Frosted shades you want to keep on the lid. And you want to keep all matte shades in the crease. And this is what we call packing. You pack the color on the lid. You can see the contrast it picks up so well. So now to add the tear duct here on the inside of her eyes, this helps open up the eye, especially in pictures. So we're using a MAC 275 brush to do this, and I'm going to use today a color called Vapor. It's actually not too frosted, but it has this nice deluxe pearl with a little bit of blue. So I'm going to go back with Beautiful Iris, and we're just going to add a tiny bit under her lash line. I really want her lash line, instead of being so deep, to kind of brighten up. So now we're going to get into the Inglot Gel Liner. This is number 77. So I'm starting in the outer corner and just making the thin line. I would say move fast with this liner. You don't want it to dry up because then it's harder to blend. And to create the wing, I use the tip of the angled brush, reverse the brush, and made it go forward. Then you kind of reverse it back around and just create it as long as you want. Because you can go in there with a makeup wipe and erase it. Okay. Alright, so now that the liner is nice and dry, I'm going to go ahead and go into mascara now. This is a mascara you can also find at the drugstore, but I love to use. It's Great Lash from Maybelline. It's an old school product, but I still love to use it. It doesn't need to be clumped up, just a light layer. Alright, so now that I put mascara on both bottom lashes, you see that they thickened up. I'm going to go right back in with this deep burgundy shade and just deepen the outer corner. You'll see that I add the smoked out effect, and I like blending it into the liner. Okay, so the next step is adding the color into her waterline. So I'm using MAC Fascinating Pencil. It's a white pencil. I'm just going to droop down her bottom line and then just drag this along. The white pencil underneath is really going to open up her eye. So now we'll be adding lashes. So now that I've added a light layer of mascara, I'm going to go in with Kevyn Aucoin eyelash curler. I love, it's my favorite one. MAC has a really good eyelash curler, but this one has by far met my expectations. Adding lashes. So these are Ardell lashes. I believe they're Glamour lashes. And I usually start by setting it right in the center. I attach the end and then attach the front. I already put a light amount of glue on the lash and let them set for about 30 seconds. You don't want to try to attach lashes when the glue is really fresh. It's going to be really hard to stick. You want to attach them when the glue is turning yellow. And then go ahead and go into skin. So you'll probably hear me say this all the time. My favorite foundation right now is the NARS Sheer Glow Foundation. Blender. It has already been ran through with warm water and it's nice and damp. You want to make sure you squeeze all the water out. And I use the big end of the sponge and we're dabbing away. This will take away all the foundation streak marks that were made from the brush. And you'll get flawless skin. This is a MAC mineral powder, and I'm using a big fluffy brush. This is a 129 brush from MAC, and this helps set the foundation. I find that when you set your foundation, you're less oily and it lasts longer. You can see that the medium dark shade really added some color to her face. Alright, so another really awesome product that I love to use. This is a 7.5 Match Master Concealer. So we're going to use this right, go ahead and turn your face this way, right in here. You don't want to go too far, just kind of stop here, bring it into the hairline. I'm just going to make these dots going down. And this concealer stick is really easy to buff out. Now we're going to finish the contour on the nose. And I'm using a MAC 217 blending brush. And I really want to buff it out, and I'm just doing strokes up and down. The tip of her nose, sometimes you can... So now using the contour palette, there's a frosted shade here. This contour palette is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. We're using a fantail brush, and we're using that frosted shade right down the center of her nose. Highlighting. So I'm using this NARS concealer. I love it. It's a Radiant Creamy Concealer. The color is in custard. And we're just going to add some dots underneath her eye. And this is the areas that we're going to contour, actually highlight with. Put some more here. Put some here. And what really blends it out is the Beauty Blender. So go ahead and look up, and we're using the pointed edge of the Beauty Blender. Don't get too close to the shadow. We want to leave that nice and clean. Okay, so now we need to set those areas. So I'm going back in with a contour palette, and there's two lighter shades. I'm going to use the lightest shade, and I'm using a MAC 116 brush. It's nice and flat. It's still a powder brush, but I like how you're able to pack on the color. And I'm using the MAC 168 brush, the same brush I use for the concealer stick. Again, you want to set everything that you use creamy with a powder so it doesn't move later in the day. I'm going to go ahead and add some blush. So this is one of my faves, is Pink Swoon, and I'm using the 116 brush from MAC. A little goes a long way. So we're going to start with the apples of her cheeks. So now I'm going to go into my Lorac Tantalizer. There's a nice highlight that I love to use. Or you can use any nude pink lip gloss. We're going to add this right in the center. Alright guys, so that's a wrap. You got a taste of what we call the purple glam. So you'll see a lot of Claudia on my Instagram. You gotta follow her on her blog. Check out her Instagram. She's a fashion blogger. You can find her at...
my Instagram is at Claudia_Candelas, and my blog is www.loveallthingsfashion.com. Marlene is responsible for all my makeup on most of my looks, so you can go ahead and check it out.
Thanks guys. Leave any comments below and make sure you subscribe. Thank you. Bye!